Hello everyone, Thomas Fleming here again. Well, for my topic today, is your job to get the message out or to persuade people? I've had a few people come in lately. I'm getting a lot more on my channel and I don't know what YouTube has done, but I'm grateful. Welcome to my new subscribers. For a long time, a filter has kept you guys away, but for some reason, it's off right now or it's changed. In any case, I'll try to debate some of these people. I'll give you, any scripture in the book, and there's somebody out there who's already got an answer for it. Why they even bother to debate, it's why are they here? Satan's pushing them. There's no reason for them to be here if they're a non-believer and start attacking what we're saying. So I'm going back to my old way because it's futile and, we're supposed to be able to give a defense. But if we give a defense once and it's still turned down because it's still scripture, bye-bye. Some people just want to come over here and troll. So the block feature works very well. And I blocked one guy and then he came back with his wife's account. I blocked her too. The world is going to be very determined, and the world is going to have their narrative that Christians are the bad guys. We're seeing a repeat of history to a degree. The 1st and 2nd century were really tough on Christians. The Jews have had it all their history, so they're familiar with it. But Christians, we've only been around since the 1st and 2nd century. But they came that close to wiping all Christians off the face of the earth. The emperor in charge of Rome at the time, not Herod, but after him. And I'm terrible with names, and I should know this name, but it's not coming to me, and I'm out walking and hiking, so I don't have my Bible. But in any case, he almost destroyed all Christians. That was his order to his soldiers. Find them, round them up, kill them, burn their books. We have no 1st century manuscripts or complete letters. We have individual pages that people manage to hide away, but we don't have a complete manuscript of any kind. He was very thorough. So all the original disciples and apostles were all killed. The 1st century or two of converts were all killed. Who's going by? People are starting to leave early in the morning. So we're coming up against that again. And we're told that the harlot will have the blood of Christians on her. And it's not a she. It's an entity. The harlot is, and you've got to read it right, because we get too many that read over this. There's a comma. It's called mystery, comma, Babylon. Babylon the Great. This is the Babylon that God scattered because they were disobedient and they didn't spread around the earth. They wanted to stay together with one language and one city, and they built the tower. God didn't want that. It's not what he told them to do. It's not what he told Noah and his family to do, to spread and cover the earth. So he scattered them abound because of he babbled their language. That's where we get the word babble. So they didn't understand each other. When you don't understand someone, the mind, which is sinful, tends to put in fear, which becomes prejudice, which is wrong. But it's sin to be prejudiced of somebody because of anything. To be prejudiced of somebody because of race or religion or anything. Every human being is to be treated equally. Now, what they do, that's a different subject. But every human being is loved by God, and God doesn't want anyone to perish. So you got to divide your time up, working for God, dealing with others, spreading the gospel, which is our primary mission, is to spread the gospel. Don't be distracted by all that's going on in the world. Spread the gospel. Don't go, oh, well, the rapture's got to be tomorrow because so-and-so said so. I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to go sit on the couch and watch TV until we get raptured. Wrong. We should be handing out a track, and then start feeling ourselves going up. I told you guys a long time ago that I asked God how long I have to do this. And he says, you're to look like a space rocket basically going up. You know, you see them go up and they got the camera that looks back at the launch pad. That's what my video should be tuned on. I should be shooting something, and then as we start to go up, I start filming, and then it will fall to earth and somebody will pick it up and go, oh, this is amazing. I wonder if they were raptured. Okay, I know that's a figurative stretch of truth, but it's fun. I like having fun. That's why I put cartoons and other things up. We can't be negative. This is the first time in history that we've been able to look at the book of Revelation and see things building for it. No place in history has the world been able to be in the time of the end times. Now, granted, you can find in the in the New Testament, that they're in the last days, as defined by God. So it's only been 2,000 years, or 1,000 years is the day. That's only been 2 days. The third day is the big one, huh? All we got to do is look around. Now, we look to the fig tree, but our interpretation has got to be correct. So we're not exactly sure. It's a small, I'm having trouble talking right now. I have to do like some of these voice actors do and go off and yell and blah, 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 and do all the kinds of things with their voice to get their voice in tune so they can use it properly. I've seen them do it on sets. It's amazing. Actors do it too, just to get their mouth so that it's working. You know, we don't use our mouth. It's got, 1,000 muscles or whatever it is in there. The largest muscle-controlled device that we have. Anyhow, I don't even know where I was going now. The bottom line is, we have to be doing our job. I guess that's what God's doing, shutting me down. Don't go off on another rabbit hole. We have a job to do, and that job is to get His word out. Our only job is to present His word. We are not, I'm not, you're not, nobody on this planet who's a Christian is responsible for one's salvation. The Spirit is, but not us. We take the Spirit with us, and maybe it's involved, but it's not our job. It is the Spirit's job to convert people. Our job is just to carry a message. We are messengers. Some might be teachers, but we're all doing the same thing. We're carrying a message. Sometimes it may be written if we're carrying our Bible with us. I'm not, I'm on a hike. I'd show you. Here's my hiking stick, which is holding up my phone at the moment because I didn't bring my selfie stick. Let's see if I can get this back in place. We don't know where we're going to be when we have a message opportunity. And we don't know what the message is going to be. Sometimes you got to let people talk a little bit and don't jump right in. Let them talk a little bit to find out where they're at. You may find you're on the same page and you're both preaching to the choir, which is okay. Celebrate, praise God a little bit, and go on. But if you find somebody who's got, issues, they're willing to share their issues. People who have problems are willing to share them. They're carrying them around all by themselves, and if there's somebody who will listen, they will talk up a storm. Let them do that. And then you know where you can come in at. There's no sense talking about God will feed us if they're not hungry, or that God will strengthen them if they're not tired. Find out where they're at. That gives you the opportunity. And if they come out and say, I'm having a problem because my back's bothering me or whatever, and you have a bad back like I do, I can talk to them. I can relate to them. I've been there. Use that. God gives us a mind to find out ways that we can talk. You know, if you're on a job interview, you're not going to tell them about your drunken activities the night before or the last week where you all got stoned or, you know, I don't do any of that, but, and I hope you don't either, but in any case, you're going to control what you say to the right people at the right time. And the same thing goes for the world. We have a deliverance message, a message that Jesus came down here to save us from our sin nature that separates us from God. The Old Testament laws don't apply anymore. Now, Jesus said, I didn't come to do away with the law. So it's still there, but he came to fulfill it. So we can be under the law, and if you're Jewish, you're under the law. But if you're a Jewish Christian, then you're in the right place. Because no longer does the law apply to you, Jesus applies to you. Now, Jesus still holds on to the law, but there's a technicality there. You see what I'm saying? You can't work your way to heaven. You can't follow the law perfectly. It's impossible. If it was not impossible, we wouldn't have needed Jesus to come down here. He came down here for one reason. He spent all that time teaching these people to obey the law, and they couldn't. He turns his back, or he sends them a prophet, and they put him in prison, or they stone him, or they ignore him. Very few times did they listen to a prophet. Nineveh was one of them. And the prophet didn't want to go. So God works with all types. The best thing you can do is carry the Spirit of God around with a smile on your face. And the worse things get around here, the more people are going to look at you and you're going to stand out. Why are you smiling when we're in a recession, depression, whatever? Internment camp. They're creating everything. And the big C is on the rise again, if you haven't heard. And Klaus, and I'm going to mispronounce it, Schwab, is doing exactly what you would expect him to do if he was part of the Third Reich or the Fourth. He's following his predecessor. His father had a factory that made munitions for the Germans. He has a German accent for a reason. That's all I'm going to say about him. I'm liable to get into trouble. In any case, we have to do our best to get the word out in spite of all the things happening. If our government continues to do stupid things, we are to follow the government as best we can until they tell you to break the laws of God. That is your only excuse for not following the government. We're told in the Bible to follow the government. The leaders are there. Jesus worked under the rules of Rome while he was there. Paul worked under the rules of Rome while he was there. In fact, when they were going to kill him, he goes, "You can't kill me, I'm a Roman citizen." And they had to send him to Rome. So you can be under the control of the government, and we will be, and it's going to continue to get worse. You're going to own nothing and be happy. That came from the guy I was just talking about. The Great Reset comes from him as well. That our puppet leader is mouthing off, so you know where he's getting his orders from. But it's not just him. If you read the harlot information, it's got 7 heads. So there's 7 areas of leadership. And when you put the beast on her back, which is the Antichrist, and his 10 horns, that's the beast that you see that's got 7 heads and 10 horns. It's the harlot and it's the Antichrist. And the Antichrist has 10 countries that are working with him. And when it's ready, he will strike. He's not ready yet. But it's close. All you got to do is look around. the digital currency, the only way to go to 666 is with digital currency. We've never had it before, but we're getting it now. All these things are happening. And then you can't convince somebody when it's all right in front of them and they still want to argue. So that's why I don't argue. If you go back and look at my comments on recent posts, I said, look, I can't convince you, you can't convince me. You don't have to believe. Just do me a favor. Remember what I said. If it's not bad enough for you yet, it will be. Someone like that's not going to make the first rapture. There's 2 more, don't worry. There will be plenty of Christians born during the tribulation time frame, however long that is. It has to be shortened or there wouldn't be mankind left on the earth. We're told that. And we have the 1,000-year reign coming up ahead of us, of which we're all going to be participating. Christians will be helping govern. We're the ones talked about as the child in Revelation 12. And that quote can also be applied to Jesus, ruling with an iron fist. But we're going to be coming back to earth to rule with him. Very exciting times. That's why you've got to be happy about these times. Be excited. I'm having a great time doing what I'm doing. I've got some unknowns coming ahead of me, I don't know. When my son gets back, things like that. Where I'm going. I know that the world's going to hell in a handbasket, as the expression says. So half of me thinks that I maybe need to stay here, and I probably will for a little while anyway. The winter doesn't bother me. I can go to South Georgia and get away from some of it. It gets cold down there, but I won't get a foot of snow like it's possible in North Georgia. And I may eventually get to go out west, or I may go to the surrounding states. I know Georgia very well. I've camped here for 30 years. When I first moved here with our family, we stayed in a motel very briefly. And with 2 kids in a motel, we decided we didn't like that. And it was summertime, so we went out and found us a campsite. We camped for, I guess it was a couple of weeks at Red Top. I don't know if they enacted the 2-week limit back then or if it's a recent thing. But you can stay at a camp in a state park for 2 weeks. County parks and private parks may have a week. They don't want homeless coming out there. And I am not homeless, for those that keep giving me thoughtful comments about that. I'm here because I choose to be. I have a resident that I stay at occasionally. It's my son's place. But he's moving out shortly, and I'm going to get a new one. I'm not homeless. But pray for me anyway. If you pray for me for being homeless, still pray for me, because I need to keep doing this for God. I have to stay close to him to do a daily video. When he first asked me to do this, I was kind of listening to the date setters. And they had us coming up on the Rapture within a couple of months, and so I figured I can do this for 2 months. That's no big deal. I was doing 1 or 2 a week, and I could do that, and that's when I was working out of my studio. But he keeps giving me a message for every day. I don't get it till the day I record it, but he gives me a message for every day. We're told that we don't need to know what to say in court. Now, don't go to court without a lawyer. But if you need to say something, if you have to go on the stand, listen to your lawyer, but listen to God if he gives you something to say. He will provide the words when you need them. He provided the words to all the writers in the Bible. Someone's running a leaf blower nearby. So anyhow, don't be distracted by what's going on in the world. Don't be afraid of it. Jesus said not to be afraid. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering. You can go through the list. Galatians 5. You need to basically just go about your business as happy as a clam. Can clams be happy? And the world will look at you and wonder, while they're panicking inside, seeing the world collapse, you can be looking around and just be as happy. Another car going by. I get distracted so easily. We all can be. But just remember where you're supposed to be. God will help you get back if you wander off. Squirrel. Funny scene, sad movie. Up, the cartoon. All right. How long have I been talking? That's good enough. I'll throw some video on the end of my hike, and we'll see you in the clouds. God bless. If you come to a state park, there are many beautiful trails that you can get into and have a great time with nature. But if you're a little timid or you need a shortcut, you can follow the road. Just remember the standard safety guides. Travel opposite of traffic so you can see cars coming at you. And you can go all the way to the edge if you want to, but if a car is coming, I recommend that you go, like there's a car coming up there, go 3 to 5 feet away so that they don't panic and worry about hitting you. And that way they can continue driving. And so there's one coming here and they're far enough away. And wave to everybody when they go by. Your kindred spirits, you're all out here enjoying the outdoors. We have a bird flying. There's actually a couple of them up there I see, and you can hear them all over the place. Caw, caw, caw. Comes another vehicle. And just head in. If there's a problem and there's something blocking your way, just go some other place. You can't see me waving, but my hand's here somewhere. I've got my hiking stick in it so I can walk and protect my knee. And that's the only other thing to think about. It's think about physical conditions that you may have to deal with. If you're on a hiking trail and you show up missing, they're going to go looking for you. And they're going to check out all the trails. They're going to drive down the road first. So if you're dealing with health issues, find out if you can. I'm not telling anybody to go hike if you're not able to. But if you can, you hike alongside of a road, you can see there's lots of traffic. If you have an ailment, problem, sit down, and somebody will come along. All right. How far have I come? Well, I came from over that rise over there. Tall trees and slightly overcast. We're not going to get any rain. At least we're not supposed to. And they don't look like rain clouds. But they're working as a blanket. Kind of an electric blanket because the sun's on the other side keeping them warm. I'm hearing what sounds like very distant gunfire. We're still in hunting season. So remember that when you get out here. Be safe. God bless.